what's going on? There we go. On YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, I am here with Ghani Zahid. Ghani, good to see you again. Thanks for joining. Ghani is an instructor with us as well as a career coach. So you may actually be a lucky one. And once you finish your bootcamp with us, you may actually have Ghani as your coach. We were just talking about how he's really enjoying engaging with graduates and helping them find jobs after the bootcamp. So this is an open house that will last 1 hour. What typically happens is we will spend the first 30 minutes going over Nucamp, what we're about, what we're delivering for students. And the last 30 minutes will be about answering your questions. And so I'm seeing your questions here in the chat. Hi, Rod. Thanks for joining your first Nucamp open house. Ask your questions in the chat, either on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. And Ghani and I will answer those questions in about 30 minutes now. All right, so with that, let's get going. Oops, out of the way. And so what is Nucamp? Well, if you're here, you probably have a good idea that we are a coding bootcamp, but you've also probably realized that we are doing things a little bit differently. And the first thing that really drives us is our social mission to help everyone who really wants to change jobs and find a new career in tech, be given the opportunity to do that. And for us, in order to be able to do that, what we have started with is price. We really wanted to make sure that we will provide quality education at a low cost, and also wanted to provide that education everywhere in the US, not just in selected cities. And so that's why you're seeing that we're everywhere. We're pretty much everywhere in the US right now. If you go to our website, although we are online, still online with the COVID restrictions, but most important, our tuition is less than $2,000 for a 22 weeks experience, which is unmatched right now in the industry. And you may wonder, okay, this is too good to be true. Is the quality really that high? And the answer is, well, we have been rated #1 coding bootcamp in the US on Course Report. We are right behind Le Wagon, who's a non-US coding bootcamp, but the #2 is us for the US space. And we're also #1 rated on Career Karma by graduates. If you go to Career Karma, you'll see a different rating at first, and then if you scroll down, you'll see the actual rating by graduates, and we are the #1 rated there as well. So we've really been able to accomplish that goal of providing high quality education at a very low cost. And we'll explain how we do that. There's a kind of a secret sauce, I will say. All right, so typically you will be here because you're still doing your research. You're still wondering, okay, which am I going to join? And chances are you will have joined or considered joining what I would call an online bootcamp. The online bootcamp are all the online platforms where you can learn to code for very, very cheap. Like I'm talking $10 for a course that has maybe 200 worth of videos and instructions. Udemy, Udacity, edX, Coursera, you name them. These are fantastic ways to get started to become a web developer or an engineer, because they're accessible, they're available everywhere. As I said, very low price point. And so I will recommend everyone to actually start there. But then what's going to happen for actually 97% of anyone starting online is you're going to realize that you need help, you need support, you need to learn with others. And you're going to realize that even though there's a wealth of knowledge available to you, you're having a hard time making sense of it. And you may look after 3 months of doing it on your own and realize that you're nowhere near the end of it, and you actually don't know what the end is going to look like. And so, as I said, very affordable, great way to get started. But then at some point you're going to be like, okay, I need structure. I really need what I will call traditional bootcamps. And traditional bootcamps are really traditional schools. And what they're going to give you is that level of structure and support that you in online space. Very often, they're going to ask you to be full-time. They're going to be qualifying you, so you may not actually make it. You may actually not be selected to join. You're going to have to look for one in your city, and you may not have one in your city. And then the big ticket is going to be, they're going to cost about 15, 20, sometimes 30,000 for a full-time in-person experience. Now, I say in-person, it may not be true anymore with COVID. So you may actually be looking at an online experience for $30,000 full-time. And the education you're going to get is probably going to be great. You're going to get the right level of support. But as you can tell, it's a big gamble. It's a big risk, especially if you are working right now. You may not like your job, but it's paying the bills. And so you're really going to have to wonder, is that a risk worth taking? And so that's where we come in. We're coming because we realize that you really have two extreme options. And Nucamp is meant to bring the best of both worlds together. The flexibility, the affordability of online, the quality of online in terms of content and curriculum, as well as the support that you get from a traditional coding bootcamp, the instructor support, the pace, knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, and all of that for under $2,000. And so that's very much what we are doing in the industry right now. We are really giving you pretty much the solution that you've been looking for, which reduces significantly. It's part-time. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to, pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. And yet you get all the support that you will not be getting if you were just doing it on your own. So a little bit of history. We were founded in Washington State in 2017. We've enrolled more than 9,000 students now, launched more than 2,000 bootcamps. We have about 300 instructors that are teaching on a regular basis with us. And I'll talk about the Saturday workshop a little bit later in the deck, but we are running about 100 to 150 live workshops every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., which is quite a feat. And then we're doing all that, as I said, by delivering outstanding satisfaction. And you can read our reviews online. People really appreciating what we're doing out there and the quality of the education. We have 4 bootcamps available to you. Today, we're going to spend most of the time with Gani talking about the full stack web and mobile development, because that's the one that's really available to you in August. We've just recently launched the Python Bootcamp, and I'm going to talk about it a little. But the Python Bootcamp is full for August at this time. It's going to be our first cohort. So you can't get in anymore. We have 200 students just ready to go. And we'll talk more about Python for the September start, where we're going to be really available for everyone at that time. And I see a ton of people joining. That's really exciting. Hello, Ramesh. Hello, Randy. As I mentioned, ask your questions in the chat, and we'll answer those questions in about 20 minutes now with Kenny. Just something to be said about the 4 bootcamps. The web development fundamentals is for beginners. The backend SQL DevOps with Python is also tailored for beginners. The front end and full stack is not. So they are not for beginners. You will want to pass a test, and it's part of the registration process. You'll want to pass a test to make sure that you're ready to enroll in those 2. Let's talk about Python a little bit more, though. So the backend SQL and DevOps with Python Bootcamp, as I said, we just announced it like a couple of months ago. It's going to be focused on a few things that are pretty hot in the industry right now, I would say. First, of course, learning to code with Python, including learning data structures and algorithms. So you'll get that in the first module. Second module is going to be all about, manipulating data with SQL. We're going to teach you PostgreSQL. We're going to also use Flask, which is kind of a framework in Python to handle web development and data manipulation. So you're going to learn everything about SQL via Postgres. What's great about using PostgreSQL as the database of choice is down the line, that's probably going to be a database that you'll want to know and learn and use for data science as well. So you're going to get introduced there, and then you'll be able to leverage that same knowledge if you decide to fork into data science. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about modern software engineering with DevOps. That's very important nowadays for a developer to know how to publish their code onto the cloud, and how to participate in a development team. So all the methodologies, agile, waterfall, and things like that. And we're going to have you actually touch and really manipulate and deploy to all three clouds. And that's also key. There is not one, there is a leader right now, which is probably AWS, but a very close second and growing every time is Azure. And then Google Cloud just announced record profits and growth. And so you really want to get a job in the industry and kind of differentiate yourself. So you really want to have a good idea of how to really work with those three clouds. So you're not going to learn just one, you're going to learn three. And so that's going to be the Python curriculum. You can register now for the September cohort, but as I said, the August one is closed. We're fully booked, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the September. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to you about the full stack bootcamp, which is also pretty great and focusing on JavaScript, the #1 language in the industry right now, Python being #2. All right, so also something very important to be familiar with is our fair student agreement. By default, if you have the funds, you have access to our best deal, which means you can register and enroll in a payment schedule that will have you pay the tuition on a monthly basis instead of at once. And it's at no additional cost. So no interest, no nothing. You'll be paying, $880 for full stack in 5 payments of $376. If you can't afford that monthly payment, or if you want to decrease it, you can apply via Climb Credit or partner to a very traditional student loan. Actually, in the end, they have criteria to accept individuals. They are more flexible in a way that they don't just look at your credit score; they look beyond that. And even if sometimes if you have a bad credit score, they could actually grant you a loan. But then you can really bring down the cost of the bootcamp to, if you look at the most flexible, $12 per month for the duration of the bootcamp, and then you will pay just $128 for 18 months, for example. So that's pretty cool. So something to really consider. The bootcamp itself, it's kind of a rinse and repeat. You're going to attend modules that are broken down in weeks. You're going to know exactly what to do Monday, Tuesday, Friday, etc. And during the week, we're part-time, so you're going to learn at your own pace. You're going to know exactly what to do, but you're going to do it whenever works for you. Your instructor is going to be available for you. Your classmates may be able to help you as well during that time. Definitely the community on Slack will be there to help you. And you're going to learn between 2 to 4 hours per day. On Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., live workshop with your classmates, with your instructor, working on, I would say, a capstone project, something that really ends the week with practical applications, something that's going to challenge you and really allow you to kind of continuously build your knowledge and projects. And then, as I said, rinse and repeat. We are unlocking the next week, and off you go. Okay, here's a big differentiator of Nucamp as well. It's our instructor community. As you can imagine, given our tuition level, less than $2,000, we are not in a fantastic position at all to pay our instructors at the, I would say, industry rate. So we can't. We do not pay our instructors at industry rate, which in turns have instructors join not because of the compensation, but because they care. So our instructors are actually full-time employees in the industry, in Fortune 500 companies, in startups, in government entities, in small medium business, or they may be freelancing, and they are joining Nucamp to be instructors at Nucamp, mostly because they're passionate about giving back. They want to help others. They enjoy teaching. They enjoy seeing people grow and become web developers themselves. And that makes a whole different experience for students. And very often, when I pointed you to those reviews, you'll see that mentioned. You'll see people actually mentioning the name. Hey, Gani was really great. I really appreciated his help. Always available to help me, etc., etc. So that's very much something that is making the experience delivered by Nucamp special. And that's pretty much it for me. Just 1 minute behind Gani, but thank you for being here again. And Gani now will actually take you through some of the insights into our curriculum, starting with why it matters to learn JavaScript and how that's going to help you become a web developer. Go for it, Gani.
All right. Thank you, Ludo. Thank you very much. Well, welcome, everyone. I see a lot of good stuff going around. Welcome from Houston. Thank you for joining us today. Washington, Maryland. Really good to have every one of you. So as Ludo said, we're going to get to some of your questions. Actually, hopefully most of the questions in a few minutes or so. So talking about becoming a web developer, it's a journey. I think it's a short journey, but there's a lot of knowledge that's given to you. JavaScript has been #1 for 5 years in a row, more like I think 6-ish now. I think what's going on with React, when React came around 2015 or so, it actually really did a good job and made JavaScript one of the most used languages, I want to say, in the world, and especially when something that's been created by Facebook and has a large back of a lot of good developers out there. So average salary for a junior web developer is about $70,000. Now, working as a career coach, I can definitely guarantee you that depending on your experience that you're doing right now, so for example, someone who's working in finance, for example, might get more pay depending on if you're working at a finance company and becoming a web developer. So this average is good for, I want to say, mostly anyone who's starting brand new. But if you have some sort of a background already, let's say in hospitality, working as a manager at a hotel, or even working at a hotel in any manner, you're definitely going to get more money if you were to work as a web developer at a hotel company. So there is a blog article on Nucamp's website. Feel free to check that out. It talks more about the job and these different differentiation between how we came up with that number and so on and so forth. Ludo, can you go to the next slide, please? All right, so let's talk about the journey. So we looked at a journey really quickly, but let's talk about the journey a little bit more. The full curriculum is 5 total courses. The first course starts with fundamentals. Now that particular course doesn't really, it's not required for you to take it. You can actually test out of it. If you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can actually test out of it. So you don't actually have to take it. But anyone who's joining brand new or actually is new to coding, I would definitely suggest you take that course. It adds a very nice base for your coding, so that actually helps you move to the next class, and especially gives you a good background if this coding is for you or not. You are introduced to JavaScript for the very first time. And so this particular full course is going to work with JavaScript a lot. So you will know that if JavaScript is for you or not, which is a big thing. Throughout the whole 5 courses, we will be using HTML and CSS. So we will be using Sass and whatnot. So that definitely is helpful as well. Responsive web design with Bootstrap. Bootstrap being one of the #1 frameworks for quite some time, and you know, it updates quite so often. We're at version 5 right now, and it has been doing a robust job giving you a sample code to actually work off of. So it's been doing a really good job, and that particular course is really robust, working with responsive web design, which is a key thing when it comes to working in web development. You want to create a website that is mobile friendly, friendly to any device, such as smaller laptops, larger laptops, your phone, your tablets, etc., etc. You don't have to create multiple websites for that. So that course definitely focuses on that one. Web development with React is the next one. So React being more of a front end. So we focus on front end with that. We are going to create still responsive web designs, web design with that. And we work with functions, classes, and working on revamping the class course. So we'll be working with hooks more. So the class does a really good job bringing you up to speed with the front end. And then we take you to in mobile development, where you actually deploy an application over to an iOS or Apple Play Store. So one application could be deployed to both, which is a pretty good thing with React Native. And then takes you to Node, which is the backend. You'll learn Express, you'll learn MongoDB, and you'll learn Node. Now, meanwhile, starting React all the way React to the backend, we are working with APIs, how to consume APIs, and how to actually even check to see if the data is actually coming through APIs, and so on and so forth. You should be able to create APIs after that. Obviously, with MongoDB, you are technically creating data APIs where you're consuming them using Node. So it's a really robust course that you could learn a lot. We use Postman, we use Redux, and some of the good stuff out there. So that's pretty much the journey. Lilo, can you go to the next slide, please? Now, in the journey of these 5 courses, you are going to create 22 projects throughout your journey. There are 3 portfolio projects that you work on overall. Lilo, can you show us one or two different projects that students have worked on?
Absolutely happy to. Let me pull our website. So we've actually we're improving our website every week almost, and very recently we've pulled videos that we have on YouTube, and so you can actually go check out here in the job outcomes menu several selections of projects built by our graduates. This one is a very interesting project I found. It's a rethinking of the calculator, pretty much built in React Native. And what it does, which is something I don't understand why it's not by default in every calculator out there. It's allowing you to store values and then reuse those values after a while. So let me see if I can get to that. Yeah, so she stored the value of a result here, and she's going to be able to use that value back again into the next calculation. How often have you wanted that type of feature on your calculator? So that's something that one of our students did. Let me see. There's a ton of front-end / React Native projects here that you can see, and then there's really the really intriguing and funny one. This one is implementing an algorithm to find the shortest path to get from point A to point B. So let me actually, there I go. So let me go there. So here is drawing walls between the 2 points. So you're seeing 1 point here, 1 point here, sorry, 1 point here, 1 point here. And then he's running the algorithm that's going to discover where the walls are. So that's kind of the discovery part of the algorithm. And by the way, there's not real math involved. I mean, every time we see people asking, hey, do I need to be great at math? No, you don't have to be great at math. This is an algorithm that is pretty much given to you. But you see how now, after the discovery, the system knows exactly the shortest path. That's pretty cool. So as I said, there's a ton of really interesting and intriguing projects that students have built, doing either front-end or full stack. And we're looking forward to add more Python project, of course, when our graduates will just publish them. All right, back to you, Danny.
All right, thank you, Ludo. Wow, that was a really interesting project. Oh, very nice. All right, so let's talk about when you can actually register. So registration is not this Monday, but the next Monday after that is your early bird when it ends. The early bird does offer you discount, so go ahead and register ASAP. We do suggest that you register within your city. So this way, whenever classes go back into in person, you're able to see those same students. And also, most likely, you are going to work with the same, your classmates in your work industry as well. So selecting your own city actually helps. Now, some folks might say, okay, well, I live in East Coast, but I'm not available at 9 a.m. I get up around 10 a.m., I have kids, blah, blah, and I can be ready by 12. You can actually schedule a class in Pacific time. So this way the class starts at 12 and you can still join the class. So you can schedule in different time zones if you like. That suits you best. But we suggest that you do register within your city or your region. Next slide, please. Okay, so Nucamp does offer multiple scholarships to help our graduates. There is a high school graduate scholarship. What it shows you that's how many of the funding it has been used. So 46,000 of 50,000 is already been used. So there's only $4,000 left for that scholarship itself. New U, it's for the folks that have been recently denied a student loan. So there is still funding available for that. Warrior Rising, it's for military veterans or active duty members who actually want to become developers. So that is for military veterans. And Reskill America, it's one of the scholarships that can help folks who have been impacted by COVID-19. I do want to say I've been teaching a lot of teachers and then also waiters and bartenders. So just restaurant industry staff. You could tell that Reskill America scholarship has been working very well. I'm going to say that wasn't that launched? I want to say earlier this year.
It's going to be close to a year actually. I think we launched the Reskill America with Career Karma back in July last year.
Okay.
And
wow.
It's probably our number one scholarship that people apply to. Career Karma will also give you a laptop. So that's why also it's so popular. If you qualify for the Career Karma program, you may actually just receive a laptop for free as well to help you in your studies. So that's kind of a big thing.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you for that. All right, so next slide, please. All right, so employment rate. I think this is probably one of the most important slides, just because it kind of talks about once you graduate, what is the employment rate for students who graduate from Nucamp? 83% of our graduates find a job within 6 months. Now, if you notice, it says tech job because that's what you want to find. You don't want to go into, going back to a restaurant after learning web development. That wouldn't make any sense. So a tech job within 6 months. 70%, 75% of our students graduate. So our graduate rate is quite high. Now, a few things that we do offer: career advisement support, one-on-one. So as a career coach myself, I do meet with students throughout the week. The only thing is that we cannot meet with the students more than once a week, just to make sure other students have a chance to schedule me. we'll be doing a really good job. So we talk about resumes, we talk about LinkedIn, we talk about cover letters, mock interviews, and then we also talk about how to actually find a job and how to apply for it. One of the things that I certainly focus on is, I don't want you to apply for 100 jobs and get 2 interviews. I'd rather have you apply for 5 jobs and get 5 interviews. Those type of things that we definitely focus on and talk about how to do that better. Nationwide job board exclusive to alumni. So there are a lot of alumni from Nucamp. So one of the cool things is that Slack channel, even after you graduate, it's available to you for the very long time. So you have all the instructors and your fellow school classmates available to answer any of your questions, even when you go into your industry and run into any issues. You can always ask those questions. 6 weeks career development program, and then also a career preparation resume or hackathons. I know we have done plenty of hackathons already, so that's available to our graduates as well, and folks that are going through the curriculum. LinkedIn Premium membership, so there is a 1 month free LinkedIn Premium membership, and then also lifetime access to content and community. I think that is a big, because right now we're working on revamping React again. That would mean that anyone who has graduated from React can come back and retake that course on their own. So anything that's added new, anything that's been changed, you do have ability to see and go through that curriculum again. So I think that's a really good thing that Nucamp does. You have access to the whole content, all the videos for a lifetime. Go to the next slide, please. Graduate student stories. So, Lula, you want to talk about this, or let me take it?
Yeah, no, sure. We are publishing a new story of a graduate getting into tech every week. And so we've actually started kind of really reaching out and interviewing those graduates about 2 months ago. And so let me actually show you where to find them. Again, if you go to job outcomes, graduate stories, this is where you're going to find all those stories that are documented. So Callie is the latest one. She was a mortgage consultant, and now she's interning for Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you click there, you're going to have the full story. So that's very inspiring, usually. And so, yeah, I mean, we have a ton. And as I said, you can go back and read those stories at any time. If you give us your email on our website, you'll actually receive those stories in your inbox as well. Great piece of motivation and inspiration, of course, for everyone pretty much willing to do the same. All right, and this is it, Gani, for the first 30 minutes of our live open house. We've been pretty good at really sticking to the schedule. We've been doing that quite a bit now together. So we're going to go through your questions at this time. So let me actually remove the share screen. Here we go. Gani and myself, full screen. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, go for it.
I wrote down some of the questions that I saw on the chat. 1203, Carlos asking, are students able to register for Nucamp classes before paying for them?
So actually, that's a great question, because the act of registering is actually paying for the first payment tuition. So you're never going to register and have to pay the full tuition, but you're going to have to pay about $350 to $370 in order to register. So yeah, so the answer is you have to, in order to register, you have to pay the registration cost. You can click interested, which will kind of keep you updated on the bootcamp. You'll know if there are seats left or not. You'll receive email from us. You'll know when the early bird expires. But registering is actually paying for the bootcamp. And there's a ton of people that are pretty new. Rod, great to have you here. Thanks for joining. Lawrence, thanks for joining as well.
There's a question at 1205, Derek, asking about how interactive is Saturday classes or Saturday sessions. He has work and maybe occasionally need to step away. I can take that one.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
Saturday classes are a lecture by an instructor for, I want to say, for 1.5 hour, and then going and working on your workshop assignment. So I think one of the things that Nucamp adds, Saturday classes add a lot of value to the Nucamp course. I think it does a very good job, especially you're hearing from an instructor who has been working in the industry and giving you examples on why or how certain things are important. It's really good to hear about that stuff. So I would say it's somewhat important, even though Saturday sessions are not mandatory. I would definitely suggest joining it. Otherwise, you could rather just watch YouTube videos and get through that. Ludo, you want to add anything to it?
No, that's exactly that. I mean, we really believe in the support that you get from an instructor and being able to work with your classmate at the same times in breakout rooms. It's invaluable. And so enrolling in Nucamp and missing that most of the time will be a challenge. Every once in a while, especially when you're committing to a 22 weeks long period of time, if you miss one or two, that's kind of okay. But you should really do your best to attend those sessions.
Yeah.
I'm going to say hi to Randy Heller from Tacoma, Washington, because that's my neighborhood pretty much. And Randy, I don't know if you know, but we started Nucamp in Tacoma, Washington, the Hilltop neighborhood. And that's where we in 2017, that's where it all started. So, and I was driving myself to Tacoma every Saturday morning. I was pretty much the first instructor delivering those sessions. So hope you'll join us and represent Tacoma.
Okay. I have another question at 12:03 from Facebook. Ramesh asking, does full stack developer require a license from state board? And the answer is no.
So I think this one is an interesting question. I think it probably means, does Nucamp require a license from state board? And yes, and we are licensed in several states. When you operate online, it's kind of weird because you don't operate in any state in a way. So you have to be licensed in your home state, and which we are. And so yeah, I mean, there is a requirement for coding bootcamps to be licensed. And Nucamp is authorized to operate in the states where we are right now. So.
Okay. But to become a developer, you
don't. No,
to
become a developer, there's no license from the state board. I mean, yeah, you just need to have the skills. That's a good point.
So another question on 1206 from Facebook, same person, Ramesh. Is there any chance to attend offline classes during full stack course once or twice during course?
So I would say the week's experience from Sunday to Friday is quote unquote offline. So that's when you learn on your own time. You follow the structure of the course day by day, and you learn at your own pace, quote unquote offline. And then we talked about the Saturday session. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Gani, but
yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty much answers the question. Lawrence is asking 1206. Yep. My main and only, yep, okay. Only question is that I work 3 nights a week, 1 week with 4 days off, but those 4 days off are not until Wednesday to Saturday. So the assignments are on your own pace. You can technically work Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night and be ready for Saturday workshop. It's completely up to you. If you want to work during the days, because you work overnight, you can work during the days. A lot of folks do that. Recently, in my last cohort, there's a police officer that worked overnight. So he was able to take classes. He worked 4 days, I think 12 or 16-hour shifts, one of those. But he was able to, and he was actually probably one of the best students I had.
Was it Brad?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Brad is super active on Slack. Okay, yeah, great guy.
Yep, very good. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So Lawrence, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say he's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And Laura, so that means really the Nucamp experience will work very well for you, because you are going to be able to really make your own schedule during the week, and you'll be able to attend the Saturday sessions. The assignment itself, we ask instructors to graduate the last week assignment by Wednesday, so you have a good runway to actually do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another question from Jeff 1212 Facebook.
Yeah.
I cannot figure out how to join a class. The site doesn't work for me.
Oh yeah, and then look, but then 2 minutes later, never mind, I got in.
Okay.
So welcome, Jeff. Glad you got in.
Yeah,
I'd love to know what was the
first
problem.
challenge. That's the first challenge for you.
Yeah. Hold on, there was something. Oh yeah, there we go. Be good stewards. Welcome to the Python course. We're excited to have you as well. We're really looking forward to run the first cohort. So yeah, say hi on Slack when you join.
1214 from YouTube. Sorry, are these lecture videos online available, or will there be a live lecture going on? There are recorded videos. There's a live session on Saturdays. Now, you do have access to your instructor throughout the whole week. Myself and other instructors, what we do is we have a way to check progress for each student. So if I see that today's Thursday and one person only did two parts of the week, then I'll reach out and see how's it going, do you need any extra help, and so on and so forth. But Saturday lecture is the only one that's a live lecture, but everything else is a recorded lecture.
Okay, so there's a ton of questions around that Saturday versus the week. So we'll skip them because I'm seeing a lot of people asking more questions now. So we'll see. We'll make sure to kind of address new questions. This one from Terrence is also a question that I've seen others ask regarding, well, first, full stack is not for beginners. You have a test, and here's the test. So if you've been wondering, how do I know about the test? This is the test. So if you type in that URL in your browser, not this one, open a new browser, stay with us. You'll be redirected to the test, and you want to be able to pass the test with 85% correct answers. If you pass the test with 85% correct answers, then you're ready to go to join the full stack or the front end bootcamp. And by the way, that URL is also provided to you before you enroll. And we actually ask you to kind of swear that you've passed the test. So that's that. Let me find the next question we're going to answer. And I'm going to go quickly because I want to catch up. So the backend Python bootcamp does not touch on machine learning or data science. That will be in another bootcamp that will develop at some point in time in the future. This question from Kathy, are you hireable? Can you actually get into tech after the full stack bootcamp? Yes, you can check our graduate stories. These are all graduates from either front end or full stack.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question from Brian. Recently registered and used the FSA. So when you use the student loan, you are not eligible for an additional scholarship, unfortunately, because you're paying climb credit, not us, and so we can't really deduct anything from your tuition. And so that's the answer, Brian. You have the benefit of having a much greater time to repay the tuition, but you can't apply for scholarships with an FSA.
There's another question from Miguel, I think about the same thing. He already registered, but he wants to know if he can apply for military scholarship.
There we go. Oh, so yeah, great. So it's quite the same, but if you did not register using an FSA, then you can apply for a scholarship. So if you pay month by month the $370, then the scholarship is available. Otherwise, it's not.
There's a lot of question about contrast between Java and Python.
Yeah.
There are two separate languages. I think Java was kind of dead for quite some time, but it's coming back a bit. I think Python is probably the way to go. That's just my own opinion, because it's leading towards a lot of data architectures and also data science.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Gani. And I will add to that. First, some people are confusing Java and JavaScript, so totally different things.
Mhm.
I would say to learn to program, Java is also overcomplicated. It makes things really much harder to learn. You have to include the libraries. I mean, it's a complicated language to just learn to code. Python is known to be very much easier to learn to program and code. So that's one. Python has also overtaken Java in terms of popularity. So you'll find Java in, older systems, I would say, and older programs. And Python is going to be the de facto, I would say, for anything new. And so I would say if you really want to pick a bootcamp, the ones that we're presenting to you, focusing on Python first, which opens the door to many different expertise, then focusing on Postgres, that opens the door as well to machine learning, data science, and then the fact that we're teaching you the 3 clouds, in my mind, makes it a no-brainer.
Right.
Versus, there's another competition is coming out with a Java plus AWS bootcamp. And that one is very narrow, I will say, and not necessarily what people are expecting nowadays. So that's my take.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see another good question from Danielle. Can you talk more about day-to-day?
What timestamp is Daniel?
It's actually right few questions after the one that you have here. Daniel Serrano.
I'm not seeing
Can you
it.
talk more about the day-to-day participating in this bootcamp? So day-to-day.
Oh, there you go. I see it. Okay.
So from Monday to Friday, you are asked, or actually, you should say Sunday to Friday, you're asked to do the week on your own pace. Now, there are certain instructors that would host a second session on Wednesday and Thursday. In my opinion, the only reason why you need to host a second session if a lot of students are actually struggling. So in classes like React or even backend classes, students are learning a lot of stuff at once. So they might actually ask, "Hey, can you help me with a few more things." So anyways, in that case, what we will do is we will host a separate section, which is, again, non-mandatory. We'll add a session on Wednesday or Thursday night to go over some of the things. There's only one session that's available on Saturday mornings, 9 to 1. But other things during the week, Sunday to Friday, is recorded videos. I hope that helps, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting question from Priyanka. Will this program be ideal to relaunch a career after 10 years? Yes, absolutely. I personally stopped coding for 15 years and got back into it by taking an online course myself. If you have past coding experience or not, our programs are available for beginners or more advanced individuals. And so it's we actually have a great story. Let me actually pull that one. Laurie Haffelt is in Florida and learned to code during her retirement, and now actually is instructing with us as well. So it doesn't matter, how old you are. It doesn't matter how much you've been out of the job market. You can get back to it with what we have to offer. Oh, I didn't share my screen, did I? Let me actually share it now. That's the story from Laurie that I was talking about. There we go. Okay. There we go. This one from Dan Dest. I'm interested in the backend bootcamp. I have basic general knowledge. would you recommend starting with web development fundamentals first, then the backend course? Let me take that one. The answer will be yes, for several reasons. First, it's only 4 weeks, only $350, and it's going to allow you to validate a few things. First, it's going to allow you to validate that you like Nucamp, that you like the way we're teaching, that it fits your profile, that it fits your learning style. So you can actually just, take the 4 weeks and know if you want to move forward or not. That's a great way to do it. And then it's going to really introduce you to web development in general, and the Python course, even though it's not necessarily just for web development, at the end of the day, everyone is going to have to produce some sort of HTML at some point in time. And so the skills that you're going to get in that 4 weeks, you're always going to use them. Like no matter what, you're always going to use them. So it's a great way to get started. 4 weeks, it's kind of I would say, the appetizer of the bigger thing to come. And so, yeah, you don't have to start with web development fundamentals, but I think it could be helpful.
Well, there's a question on Facebook from Danielle 1241 talking about 50-50 for joining the bootcamp. It looks like he's been talking to you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In-person sessions this year.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So let me share with you the insights around coming back to in-person. It's very challenging right now because of the uncertainty of what's going to happen tomorrow, next month. In the state of Washington, for example, if we were to come back in person, we will have to decide if we wanted to force everyone to be vaccinated. That will be one option. And only be open to people that are vaccinated. And we will have to ask students for proof of their vaccination. If we did not do that, we would have to make sure that we have all the distancing, and all of that. But in any case, if one student gets sick, we'll have to trace, potentially shut down. So it's a lot of risk and cost. And imagine if you want to be back to in-person, you want to hire back your instructors, you want to bring back the operations, it's costly. To know that you actually may have to shut down in a month after that because one student gets sick, it's very, very challenging for any coding bootcamp to make that decision, because you put the business at risk of incurring the cost and then not knowing if next month you're going to have to shut down again. The Delta variant doesn't help. And what I've just described is a county by county decision. Sometimes it's at the state level, but sometimes it's at the county level. And so I would say it's a complete mess. And it's really not helpful for an education organization like ours to actually have to deal with that at the county level with restrictions that are fair and well understood, but really are very hard to handle for a business like a coding bootcamp. So long story short, we're hoping to have an in-person experience back in January. We hope that by then the landscape is going to be clearer. But before that, it's a big gamble. It's a huge gamble. And by the way, we don't even know if you all want to go back in person as well. That's the other thing. Like, we may open up in person and hear from our students and instructors that, we kind of like it now. We kind of like the online thing and not having to commute on Saturday morning. So all in all, it's a tough one. And we do believe in an in-person experience 100%. Like, we started like that. We were in person, and we believe it's probably the best experience for students. It's just pretty darn hard right now to offer that again until the things are not really completely cleared out. I hope that helps.
Yeah, echo that, Luda. I think the same exact thing happens in the industry, right? When you're working with a developer, you're asked to work from home, or part of it can work from home. So I think if you have not done that before, I think that would be one of the things you want to start doing now to actually set up your environment and be able to work from home, on a need basis. There's a good question.
Yeah, there's a question from LD. So LD, I've seen your message around the Python registration being broken, and I'm going to give you the typical answer in the software industry. It's not a bug, it's a feature. So if you haven't heard that one yet, it's actually a true expression. So you cannot register for the August bootcamp because we're full. But it's true that it takes you a long time to realize that it's full, and you will think, oh my God, why can't I register? Let me actually share with you what we're talking about. And right now we've kind of changed that a little bit, but if you go here, try to register for the August 9th on, let's say, Online Pacific, we're going to say, well, it's a private delivery, blah, blah, blah. You're going to see the code here, but then we're going to say, sorry, all 200 seats have been used, which is true. We have, across the US, filled our maximum number of seats for this first delivery. And so you can type in your credit card number, you can do everything, you're still not going to be able to register. And we mean it this way. But it can be frustrating. I hear you. So we'll change that experience next time we do that kind of thing. But for now, know that you can't really register anymore for the August session. You can, though, register for the September one. So if you go here, September, it's not private anymore, nothing. You can, complete everything and pay the first payment. So there you go. You have it. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And let me tell you, you're going to use that sentence at one point in your career.
Could you, slightly above that question, Monica asked, what's the most common job that students get after graduation? It's a really good question. Actually, a few more about that. Same person, Monica. What's the most common job that you see it?
There you go. Yeah, I see it.
All right, perfect. Now, I personally always recommend students to go for a junior developer position, especially if they have, let's say, they have not worked in any industry and they're brand new. You definitely have to start with junior. There are chances, like recently, one of my person that I'm working with, he has 10 years of finance experience. He recently got a job, not to brag about that, but he got 3 times more than what he's making now.
Oh, wow.
He's really happy about that. And then he has other interviews that he thinks he could make more money. So again, it's not a junior developer position. It's a developer position, not internship. So internships usually are not paid. Sometimes they are, but I usually focus on junior developer roles. There's plenty out there. Yeah, I guess hope that answers your question, Monica.
Yeah. Let me try to, so we're 2 minutes away, so let me try to clear some of those questions. Is there overlap between full stack and Python? No, there's no overlap. There's a great continuum, though. You will end, for example, full stack with a backend module, and then you can continue on backend. So no overlap. You can take both, one after the other. Questions from Carlo regarding applying for a loan and a scholarship. You cannot have a loan and a scholarship from Nucamp. It's either one or the other, no matter which order you're trying to get into, just so you know.
Web development fundamentals that are required prereq for web development. Not necessarily. You need to either take the class or test out of it.
Yeah. What is a typical cohort size? 12, maximum 12, maximum 12. So one instructor for 12 students.
Yep, that answers the second question about the student-instructor ratio. Good.
Perfect.
I think we got most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Can we have SDLC simulation during the boot camp?
So LD, yeah, you heard that one, eh? Okay, cool. All right.
Interesting.
SDLD simulation during the bootcamp. We'll see. Maybe. We're still in the process of building that last module, so we'll see what we put in there. Carlo, yeah, we'll be throwing a party as well. Hey, we got to the end.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look at that.
Yeah. I think there's a question about front end and full stack or back end. So front end is anything that a user can touch or interact with. Back end is something that a user cannot see or interact with. Full stack is combining both front end and back end together. So that's a quick, short answer. Once you are part of the fundamental class or the bootstrap class, we will be going through both of these differentiation in more detail, just to make sure you make a right decision for yourself.
Awesome.
A lot of times I do ask why someone wants to be a developer, and sometimes they say, hey, I like coding, I want to be a full-time coder or get a job. I would suggest doing a full stack in that case, because you're more marketable, you understand more when you're working on front end, how the back end actually works. Understanding both will actually make you a better developer. It doesn't matter if you later on want to focus on front end or back end only. It will make you a better programmer.
That's right. One last question before we go. GP Montagnier, how much overlap is there between the base level appetizer and the front end and full stack programs? There's no overlap. The only overlap we have in our program really is full stack is a superset of front end. So if you register for front end, if you register for full stack, you're going to do front end first, and then we're going to add a module to it. But there's no overlap between the 4 weeks fundamentals and everything else. All right, we are over time, actually. Gani, always a pleasure to host these with you. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone, thank you for joining as well, asking all those questions. Remember, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Use that sentence and say it proudly. It always works. And I hope to see you all online at some point in time. If you have any additional questions, go on our website, use the chat feature, ask your questions. We have agents there, Laura, Zendra, Luis, and others that are available to answer any additional question you may have. All right, take care, everyone. See ya.